One thing people in the United States tend to do is glorify busyness because capitalism. Anyhow, in the last few weeks, as we are isolating more and more, what's happening is, number one, a lot of folks are perhaps reckoning with the fact that they have failed to develop any significant internal life, so they don't know what to do with themselves if they aren't going out and doing something somewhere with some purpose. So that might be an opportunity for some self-reflection. Perhaps the kind that the kid next door right now out in his yard, I think he's doing a kind of self-reflection as he is whacking a plastic playhouse with a hockey stick repeatedly for what seems like hours on end. Okay, so the other thing that's changed outside of people having this time to realize they don't got much going on inside is people are actually going and using the out of doors. When one of the only places it's acceptable to go is outside for some exercise, that's a pretty significant motivation for those who are a little bit stir crazy. And so like in Duluth on our paved lake walk, it's nearly impossible to keep a 6-foot distance from others because it is just packed with people out for walks. And I think that's actually a pretty fantastic side effect of all this terrible time. But for those of us who always move our bodies outside, it's a bit of an adjustment to have a bunch of newbies occupying the same space. Did I forget to mention I'm wearing underwear today? Big development. Anyhow, I'm here with a public service announcement for those who are just learning how to go for a walk outside. There are, in fact, 2 important announcements I'd like to convey today. So please, if you need note paper, skitter off, get it now. You might want to jot down some of the finer points. But there are 2 things genuinely that I hope people can get better at. So on Duluth's Lake Walk these days, we have clusters of individuals, usually family groups, who are out getting their daily airing, having their walkies. And please notice that many people are taking their animals out for walks. We've got pets on leashes, and we've got kids on the run, and we've got skateboarders with candelabras. So the lake walk, if you look at it from the front, is pretty scattered with human activity. I would like to remind everyone that, in fact, the lake walk is also a place for not just the skateboarders, but for bicyclists. So let's imagine there's a clutch of Karens walking along the lake walk. Notice, please, that the clutch of Karens is not only discussing Lululemon and serums, they also are spreading their bodies across the entire pathway. On a walking path, it is in fact 2-way traffic, much like a road, where pedestrians in the United States heading this way stay on the right-hand side, so that the people who are going the opposite way can be on their right-hand side. So we're going to obey the rules of the road, even though it's a walking path. But let's say you're a clutch of Karens and you're oblivious to everything outside of your own special selves, and a bicyclist comes along. Now, a bicyclist who's an experienced, let's say, daily commuter to a place of work will know that the proper etiquette is, perhaps he has a bell and he says ding ding from the little bell, and then he calls out quite kindly, on your left, so that the clutch of Karens can know someone's coming along. Lately, what happens when the bicyclist has said, on your left, and called it out to a group that is spread across the entire path, the clutch of Karens will hear, on your left, and they will either not move at all, not knowing that they're being given an indication of an oncoming bicyclist. They will pause for a moment and quickly move to their left. Friends, if someone calls on your left, that means that person is coming on your left. You should move off to the right where you should have been anyhow. It's like a car passing you on the highway. See? Like that. All together now. When someone behind you calls out, on your left, do not move to your left. Move to your right to let the person come around you on your left. A little bonus tip here. When the bicyclist has finally managed to get past the clutch of Karens with only putting a tread mark tattoo up the spine of one of them, please also, if you're out walking your pets on an 8 to 12 foot leash, remember that that doesn't mean you get to span the entire pathway. Keep your dogs on a leash. It's a Duluth City policy. Duluthians love to not listen to. More and more, I'm even seeing dogs on the lake walk off leash. Normally, anywhere else in the city, yeah, it's fair game to end up with muddy dog prints on your shoulder while Susan back there yells, "Oh, don't worry, he's friendly." But usually on the lake walk, people have leashed their animals. I am seeing more and more that people are treating the lake walk like a dog park. Guess what we have in Duluth? Some dog parks. So keep your animal on a leash, but keep your animal close. Don't let your animal span the entire walkway because others are coming through. And when a mild-mannered bicyclist who is very, very conscious of the etiquette of moving throughout public spaces, when he's called out on your left, when he's tinged his bell, when he's trying to get to the place he goes day after day, year after year, whereas you're out for your second walk in your lifetime, don't holler at the bicyclist as he goes past, "Slow down!" Because you know what? That bicyclist is more conscious of you than you are of him. Number 2. This one pertains to people walking on, say, residential roads and not a paved path, where there is two-way wheeled traffic, like, the fast-moving metal boxes we put gasoline into, or the chariots that the Romans liked to drive to the market. So when you're on a two-way road and you are walking on the road because there's no sidewalk, number one, kudos to you for being out having a walk. But I am so nervous these days because most people seem not to realize that when you are walking on a road where there is car traffic or chariot traffic, you should be walking against the flow. So here we see Moby and Samantha and the twins, Amico and Holiday Station, walking on a road, and what they are doing is they're keeping their backs to the oncoming traffic. So they have no idea if a car is coming extremely close to them. In this example, though, we see correct form. So as Claudina is coming down the road that direction, Skule is actually walking correctly, because when this vehicle is going past, Claudina, this clever pedestrian has his eyes on what's coming towards him. It's really important to walk defensively when you are on a road, not on a sidewalk, where there is car traffic. You definitely want to be able to see what's coming instead of blindly having vehicles come from behind you. I am super aware of this ever since I had a student, probably 15 years ago. Hard to believe, I know, because I only look 22. But I had him in class probably 15 years ago, and he was such a sweetheart. He was like star of the class, and his name was Brett. Oh, I think he followed me on LinkedIn now. Makes me wish I looked at LinkedIn more often than every 3 years. But Brett, who really was like the star student in the class, suddenly went missing for a couple of weeks, and I was getting worried. And then he finally hobbled in one day with much of his upper torso in cast-like devices. And Brett told me the story, hi Brett, about how he had left a party one night and was walking home. Not sure if this meant Brett was too or if the person he'd come to the party with was too and he didn't want to get in the car. But at any rate, whatever it was, he had made a wise choice to walk home from the party. And so he was on the side of a road with not much shoulder after dark, and he was walking home. And one thing really awesome Americans like to do sometimes, especially if they're male and about age 18 and have a little bit too much Jaeger in them is they like to take a baseball bat, or in this reenactment, a sword. They like to take a baseball bat, drive around country roads, and whack mailboxes. But that night, because Brett was walking, as he told me later, stupidly, the wrong way for how he should have been, because a smart Brett would have been over here, Brett was walking with his back to oncoming traffic, and the 18-year-old males with too much Jaeger back there with a baseball bat came whipping up behind him, and they whacked him with a baseball bat. Don't be Brett. To recap, to summarize, hi, I teach English and writing. Oh, don't I always push a good summary at the end. To summarize, number one, if you are on a paved path and someone calls from behind you on your left, that does not mean move to your left. That means move to your right so the person can come on your left. And number two, please, oh please, especially if you're with your kids, when you are out walking on a road with cars and there is no sidewalk, please, you should walk against the flow of traffic, not with the cars coming from behind your back. Please stay safe.